Welcome. The purpose of these plant clinics is to highlight native and other plants which grow well in our Mid-Atlantic Hardiness Zone 7 gardens. This series of plant clinics is sponsored by the Virginia Cooperative Extension program of Virginia's two land-grant universities, Virginia Tech and Virginia State University. Barbara is going to be talking to us about what's currently blooming in Zone 7 gardens and in the native landscape, the narrow-leafed evening primrose. I'm especially curious to learn more about this attractive yellow flower because I've seen it growing in the wild. So Barbara, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Kathleen. All right, so hi, I'm Barbara with the Fairfax County Master Gardener program. So today I'll talk about Oenothera fruticosa. It's also called narrowleaf evening primrose. As its name suggests, this plant is in the evening primrose family. However, it blooms during the day, and it has some specialized uses and attractants, as we'll see in the following slides. So the common names, narrowleaf evening primrose, as I said, also called sundrops. You might hear them called that. They are native to Virginia and the eastern US. The stems are very slender, they're reddish and hairy, and it has lance-shaped leaves, so more long than they are wide. And they're about 2 to 3 inches long, and they alternate up the stem. The flowers are a brilliant canary yellow. They're 4-petaled, saucer-shaped. You can see that on the right side there. And they're about 1 to 2 inches across. They're mildly fragrant, and this plant can spread well when it's cultivated, and it can even become weedy or aggressive in its optimal conditions. And you can see its range on the left side there. So let's talk a little bit about the habitat and a little about the beautiful yellow blooms of the narrowleaf evening primrose. So like many plants, it prefers full sun locations with well-drained soils, and that's extremely important to it during winter to prevent damage. It will tolerate dry soil, and you'll find this plant natively in meadows, in open woods, and in soils that have been disturbed. However, it's also easily propagated by cutting or with seed. You can see in this photo where the narrowleaf evening primrose is being used as a small hedge, which was very pretty. I like that photo. And it's cold tolerant to zones 4 through 8. So here in our area of Northern Virginia, it does very well. The flowers are at the top of the stems. You can see that in the photo too. They bloom in late spring through summer. So you can see these now. And after flowering, there's a club-shaped seed capsule, which would also provide interest in a propagated garden or a site if you're looking for texture in your garden. So there are many benefits of Oenothera fruticosa. So let's start with conservation and wildlife. We've talked about some of the native habitat of this plant as meadows and the open woods and the disturbed soils, but you can also find this plant propagated in native plant landscaping, where it provides texture, color, and a nice medium size for interest. Various wildlife species use this plant, including pollinators such as bees and butterflies, which forage on the flowers. And the flowers themselves serve as food for pearly wood nymphs and a couple of moths. The primrose moth especially has evolved with the flower and is quite specialized. Hummingbirds are attracted to the nectar and the insects that feed on the plant. And some songbirds, such as the eastern goldfinch and the mourning dove, will eat the seeds, and the white-tailed deer will snack on the foliage. So, you may or may not want that if you're propagating this plant. On the slide, you can see a picture of the whole plant in a fairly inhospitable and rocky area. So this just tells you kind of how hardy it is, and it adapts and can thrive well in a lot of different habitats. So continuing with the benefits of Oenothera fruticosa, it has some ethnobotanical uses, which I really thought were interesting for our presentation today. It's a well-known medicinal plant to Native Indians, such as the Iroquois, the Cherokee, and the Ojibwe Indians, who used it. They all used it for weight loss, for upset stomach, and to treat bruises. There's also some research that shows how some of the compounds in the seeds of this plant show promise in treating breast cancer. And finally, I included a map of Virginia here to show where this plant is native across the state. So all of those red dots are where it's native. Settlers to Virginia took the seeds back, and this plant is also naturalized across Europe now. I hope this information has been useful to you, and it might be of help in identifying Oenothera fruticosa or narrowleaf evening primrose if you're out on a hike or something, and that you might even consider incorporating it into your own native garden. And with that, I will end with these citations for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I actually saw these beautiful flowers just yesterday along a sunny stretch of a recreational path near my neighborhood where I was taking a bike ride. There they were growing in a wild, lush, meadow-like strip of vegetation bordering the trail near a stream. I'm so glad we have these green spaces in Fairfax County and flowers that support pollinators and benefit wildlife. Our virtual plant clinics are only part of what we do. Here I'm showing you the address for our website, fairfaxgardening.org. Check out monthly articles that appear on our website. We also have an Instagram account, and you can sign up for website updates and search for gardening advice. Each month, a new collection of articles are published on our website. And there's also an archive of information that you can search at the website. These virtual plant clinics have been happening since 2001 and have been recorded. So we have a YouTube channel, which you're welcome to visit, to search for recorded programs about many topics on vegetables, on lawn care, and Zone 7 gardening, which focuses on ornamentals. I want to thank everyone for attending. I hope we see you again soon. Happy gardening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.